Welcome or welcome back to the channel. I'm Tequila B with TruLuv Designz. I caught the latest McCall's pattern sale this weekend. There are still some patterns that I want. Yes, I probably shouldn't be wanting or needing anything, but you know, hey, you know, guilty. As you all may know, Joann Fabrics has filed for bankruptcy. But as far as we know, the 800 locations that they still have are still going to be open. As a matter of fact, when I called my local Joann to make sure that they were having the sale as well, there is a disclaimer on their automated voice system that tells you that their 800 locations are still open for business. So I was pretty excited to hear that Joann would still be open. Now, as far as the pattern sales, the patterns no longer go on sale for $1.99. They are now on sale for $2.99. And who can beat $3? Of course, $2 was great, but $3 is still not bad, and I'd rather pay that than paying $21 or $15 or $14 or whatever. We know patterns can be expensive, and for them to still give us these sales, I really appreciate that. So I picked up 12 patterns during this sale, and all for various reasons, of course. So let's just hop right into it. So all of these are McCall's patterns. So I'm not going to say McCall's all the time. I'm just going to say the number, and you, excuse me, I have hiccups. You should know that this is McCall's patterns. The first pattern is McCall's M6802. It is rated as an easy pattern and is described as Mrs. Women's Cardigans. My favorite view is view A, which is the cardigan with the hood. It looks like it also has a tie. I was inspired to pick up this pattern by Grace from So Lovely with Grace. She recently did a video on a top that she made, and this pattern is also one that she showed, and I really liked it. Next one is a men's pattern that I picked up. It's M8459, and this one is described as a men's shirt. I know my husband is going to love this pattern. I didn't show him the patterns that I picked up. He did go with me, but he stayed in the car this time, so he did not have any input on the men's patterns that I picked up, but I felt like this speaks to his uniqueness and would give him kind of like some ideas on how he can design his next shirt. Next is M7569. This pattern is described as Mrs. Dresses, special occasion dresses, if that's what you want to call them. But I do like this view here, and there are no numbers or letters on this. I really think this is one of those mix and match patterns where you can mix like the tops with the bodices with the skirts and get different looks and different dresses. But I really like this because it's just beautiful. One of my cousins has teased that when she gets married, she wants me to make her wedding dress, and I am going to start practicing on some of these special occasion dresses, not really with special occasion fabric. Basically, I want to do some muslins and make sure that I can make the dress and that it comes out right, fit as well, and then we'll go from there. Next pattern is M7838, and it is described as Mrs. Tops. Now, I really love UC. I love these sleeves. They are really making a statement. I don't care for B too much, but D and C, but C especially, I think they chose the right view to highlight on this pattern because it really makes this pattern stand out. It was a real eye catcher, and that's one of the reasons I grabbed it. Next is McCall's 7472. M7472 is described as Mrs. Shirts, Tunics, and Belts, and I really like the curved hem on the tops, and especially E, it has a tie. I'm really loving things that help accentuate the waist, but that curved hem is what I love the most. So view E is definitely excuse me, view E is definitely winning right now, but I also I like all of them. Some have pockets, some don't. They all have buttons. So if you are looking for a project to put some buttons on, here's a great one. Next pattern is M8055, and this pattern is described as Mrs. Skirts in 7 lengths. So this is the pattern. My favorite view is C, because you know I love the pencil skirt shape. I like this one mostly because it's an animal print. Hopefully you can see those line drawings on the back here that shows you all the different lengths that you can wear the skirts in. I think that's really cute and neat. And the fabrics used for this is medium weight, moderate stretch knit, such as jerseys, cotton knit, ponte knit, and sweater knit. So this pattern would give you a really good silhouette and some great flow. Next pattern is M7875, and it is described as Mrs. Jacket, robe, pants, and belt. I picked this pattern up because I like the robes on this pattern. My daughter has been asking for one. I need a second one, so I thought this would be really great. Next is M8329. It's described as a Mrs. Swimsuits pattern. Now this is also a pattern that came out, let's see, I'm trying to find the year. It came out in 2022. I do remember this pattern because it was on my list to grab, but I remember when I went to the store and I was looking at it, I decided not to get it. Why? I don't know. Probably because I knew I probably wasn't going to do any swimming that year, and I really didn't have like a strong motivation to make a swimsuit or anything close to lingerie or anything like that. So I bypassed it, but since I've made that lingerie, I feel a little bit more confident, and I feel like I will put this pattern to use. Next is M8411, and this is described as Mrs. Bodysuit, robe, shorts, and pants. Now, I love this bodysuit. I love it. I love it. I love it. So that's the main reason I picked up this pattern. Also, I picked it up for these shorts. I do have a client that asked me to make some pajama shorts for her, and I think this would be a good one. Next is M7848. It is described as Mrs. Petite Women's Petite Coats and Belt. Now, on this pattern, I kind of like all of these. I really do. I like all of these coats, but what really jumped out at me was view C, because I like this little collar detail on here. Collar, the cuff details. And I also like view B because it does zip all the way up and down, and hey, I'm good for a zipper any day. Next is M8348. This is described as a Mrs. Dress and Shrugs. This is also a pattern that came out in 2022. And I remember when everybody was making this, and I almost jumped on the bandwagon, but I did not, because for some reason, there was something about what I was seeing that wasn't really jumping out at me. But when I went into the store this time and I gave this pattern another look, I looked at this dress and this silhouette and this shape, and I really kind of fell in love with it. Then I like this view A, this shrug. This is something that would really be beneficial to me, like just around the house or even at work, because I stay cold. I don't always want to have on a full hoodie or a jacket or sweater. So something just like half to give me some coverage on my arms and whatnot and my neck is good with me. The last pattern I picked up is M6996, and this pattern is described as Mrs. Jackets and Belts, and it is described as an easy pattern. Now we know that just because something says easy, it doesn't always mean that it's as easy as it seems. But just looking at the drawings and the line drawings on the back, I'm kind of convinced that this will be pretty easy. I don't see many closures. I don't see any closures. There are, let's see, no notions for this pattern besides seam binding. And you can do seam binding or you don't have to do seam binding. So that's something optional that you do not have to do. So I will say, just by looking at this pattern, that it should be pretty easy. Like I said, there's no closures. There's a view that has a belt, and it doesn't get much simpler than that. So I am pretty pleased with the patterns that I found. There are like 5 more that I'm trying to get my hands on, and I may have to go online and purchase those. They are on sale right now for $4.99. If you did not catch the sale and there are some patterns that you really want to get, make sure you check out the Simplicity website, because they always have some good sales on there. Patterns $4.99, $5.99, $3.99. I've even seen some that are $2.99. They also go on clearance, so that's a great way to get your hands on some patterns if you don't find them in the store, or you don't catch the sales, or you don't have a Joann fabric close to you. I hope you enjoyed this pattern haul. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, hit that like button and that notification bell so that you don't miss the next video. Until next time, keep sewing.